Hi, today I want to go over kind of breaking down why I see it as really, really important as far as anything is important in this dimension. But I see it as very, very important that we learn to embrace and listen to the deep longing in our heart and then make ourselves available for it. And this is what I see we have all been doing for a long, long, long time. We are feeding the outer reality, and it's getting more and more intense out there. And the more intense it looks out there, the more we have an emotional reaction to it. You know what you do with it. You can just look at your own expression in all of that and see how are you engaging in the outer world. Maybe you're writing a lot of Facebook page or posts where you are just raving and raging and complaining and wanting people to agree with you or whatever about the political situation, the environment, the finances, whatever. It doesn't matter. What matters is that we are the ones engaging with that outer world with a strong emotional charge. This charge feeds the outer seeming reality. It needs your and mine energy to stay alive, to keep going. It seems that within this dualistic expression that we're experiencing, it seems that there is something built in there to amp it up so that our emotional reaction is being amped up, that we then feed to it, and thereby it gets more intense. So see it this way. You may have seen the movie Monsters, Inc. many, many years ago. Remember, there were monsters in the cupboard, under the bed, and it caused a lot of fear in the children. And every time a child would be terrified, it was like the monster, it was like a conduit where something else got fed by those emotions, by the fear, by the terror. And when these children learned to not be afraid, but to express joy, literally, I may say it a little wrong, this is kind of how I remember it, but that's when they stopped feeding the monsters with their fear. Now, imagine that's what's going on in the world. Actually, maybe you don't need to imagine it. Just see that what's going on in the world is a huge monster, and it scares most people. And the more it scares us, the more it grows, the stronger it gets, the more scary it looks. You see, we have to stop feeding the monster, literally. And because we have been so conditioned to feed the monster out there with our fears, with our judgments, with our blaming, shaming, taking sides, believing it, defending it, battling it, on it goes. All that energy, you are feeding the monster. So the monster is a creation from all of us through our emotional attachments to it, our emotional reactions to it. That's a very important first part to see. Now, it's going to be challenging to unhook because it is very, very automatic in all of us. It's like an instant, it's like a default. And you probably know how attached you are to it. You may already have done a lot of work where you have stopped touching it, where you are unhooking from it, and you have a lot more energy available to you to stay here. And if this is new to you, you might just start noticing how often you react to the world and how strong your reaction is, how emotional it makes you. There's nothing wrong with any of that. This is not about this is not about blaming or shaming anyone, because then that would be part of the outer monster. So what we're going to do instead is just from a place of loving ourselves, being kind to ourselves, we just let ourselves notice with a curiosity. You go like, wow, I'm really reactive. Wow, I can see how I get pulled in by all these things. And I can see how righteous I feel about my position. So we just start noticing it and, just maybe write it down like, wow, this charge is out of 10. This is a 9.5 or something. And then next time you see it, you notice like, oh, here it is. Maybe I will just take a deep breath instead and just see if I can do differently this time. So that's the one part, right? We are identified with it and we feed it all day long. Now, here is my, I don't know, my little future, my beautiful possible future that we all long for, right? Because nobody really wants that monster anymore. Some people like it because there's an energy in feeding it, right? There's a sense of power, and when you feel right and they're wrong, I'm right. There's an energy there and it feeds something. So if you like that kind of food, you might want to continue with it. And it's not for me to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. That's your choice. But if you don't want to feed the monster anymore, what are you going to feed instead? Where are you going to put your attention instead? Where are you going to abide? Where are you going to park your energy? So my suggestion is to look for what you want instead. Would you like to live in a world where there are no monsters, where there is beauty and love and joy? And again, check in with yourself. Find out what kind of world would you like to live in? And then you will go inside and you will start exploring that. It's like, oh, I want this. I want it to look this way. I want to have connection. I want people to listen to each other with care, all these things. So that's something you long for. So the invitation is to put your attention here. Right? Take it away from the monster outside and go to what you really want, what you long for, what you would love to experience. So what happens for many of us in the beginning is that we are afraid to go here because we have been so disappointed and hurt in the past, and we've tried it and it didn't work. So we left it. And, there might be a lot of pain. I have seen a few people that I've guided through some meditations where a lot of tears come up because when they touch into that longing, there's a layer of sadness where it didn't work out, it didn't happen. And there's such pain and disappointment in that. So there is a tendency to move away from it again, and again, instead of going there and staying and be present in the pain, in the disappointment. And that is something you may or may not need support with. That is not so easy for most people in the beginning, to have somebody there with you to help you be present with it in a whole new way. And if you need support in that, please go to my website and connect with me, because that is one of the things that I love to offer. If you're able to do it on your own, you can start just gently feel this longing. And it's like, let yourself have it. So once that resistance to it is gone, or diminished, greatly diminished enough that you are able and willing to feel your longing, that's where the sweetness comes in, the joy, the peace, the connection. And what I want to add to that is that this longing that you feel is simply the expression from the new energies. And I always say new, they're not new, but from the divine energies that are now ready to express themselves as a new world experience. The divine is not going out there battling the old. The divine has a whole new expression, maybe a whole new blueprint, its own blueprint, which is made of love and peace. And that is what we are feeling. So when you go into your longing, you feel something very beautiful. So don't be afraid of it. To the best way you can. It might be a little overwhelming to just embrace such beauty. So just do your best, take it in small steps, and start letting yourself land here in your heart, in the longing. And in that, when we are willing to do that, when we are saying yes to this feeling of longing, we are opening up the portal instead of closing it like we have done for a long time, most of us. Now we just hang out in the feeling of the longing. And you start feeling the sweetness of it. And in that sweetness, in that feeling of it, you might get some glimpses of what it would look like for you. What makes you feel happy that you might want to express or experience? So you let yourself be present with that. You really say yes to this energy, which is coming from the divine. We feel it in our heart and we say yes to it. Then we are making ourselves available for the new world that we long for. It is so simple. And it's taken me so long to really get this. But because I'm here now most of the time, it's very easy for me to see kind of how it works. And that's why it's easy for me to share it with you. So it might go much faster. And I do believe that as these energies come in, those of us who embody them, there's also a clarity that then can be shared with others. That's what it feels like, what's happening here. So now I can share some more clarity, like the steps, the steps to not touch that, the steps to, be clear away what gets in the way of turning here, and then the steps how to fully embrace that. That is what I see is really important right now, because the more of us do that, the more energy is being allowed into this dimension, into this expression. And that energy, that light, it simply dissolves the monster, not by beating it up, not by battling it or telling it it's bad or whatever. No, it's the monster. It's just a lack of light. And by us bringing light to it, the monster just starts dissolving. Boy, if it was that easy that we can do all that just in some 3 or 4 quick steps, that would be great. But this is a consistent practice that we need to kind of make real, embody it, make it just part of our life, to live in and as this portal of longing, and share it with others, not necessarily with words, but by our energy. So we start living as that. We are walking around as light more and more. And this light will simply dissolve the darkness that other people are still battling with. And with their battling, they are feeding it. They're feeding the monster. So if we can call ourselves monster busters, we can do this by just being present in and as the longing, by really feeling it. I think the part of feeling it is very important because there's that energy in it. And it's so sweet. And the more we hang out there, the more we want to stay there and the less we want to engage in the monster. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess. But we need to land here first and then make ourselves available for that. So I hope that clarifies it a little bit, that you can see that there is some meaning in this, that it does go somewhere. But of course, we do need to go here first and make that our abiding place, make that our home, and make ourselves available for that. Yeah, let's try that.